Well, I think the diversity of the space.
Mm.
I think the nature of the space. That one space was really grand.
Mm.
That central room is really large. And I think in a way it demanded large work to sort of engage the space. And as much as I say I don't want my work to be dependent on flatness for organization, I do think that it works well in a within architecture. The other room perhaps is too crowded. I would pull. It's too much work in there. I should pull some out, but I can't. Nobody wants to. I mean, I'm interested in that complexity, allowing that to be in the work. I don't know what else I would do. Sit around and do the same thing all my life.
Okay.
So you have moments of monumentality or the aspiration to monumentality, and then moments that are about reflection. And I think each one finds a form. And I don't think I'm inventing form anyway. That would be presumptuous. I think, you utilize form that exists. I'm not inventing a rectangle. But I might put 15 shapes together in some way that has individual meaning. I'm not particularly interested in objects. So I'm more interested in how perceived form, or how the space of work differentiates from the ambient space. I mean, I think that's what particularly modern sculpture is about. How, Giacometti condenses space. Perhaps Donald Judd engenders space or defines a particular space in relationship to, say, the space where the work is encountered. Sculpture is a language. It's not exactly like literature, but it's more abstract, but there is a language of form. And I think that's something that somebody who's thoughtful can experience. Well, first thing, if you're looking at the piece, you have to move around it.
Of course.
The houses in the other room, they kind of reveal themselves without, you could stand over the piece and see it. But once you do a large sculpture, you really have to walk around the piece to experience the piece. So I think you're moving with it, And it has its own movement too. But it's some kind of dance. You're relating to the work by moving around it. I don't think you can read it from one point of view. So I mean, it's involved with moving around. And there's a lot of moment in the form too. There's a lot of moment.
Yeah.
I mean, a kind of kinetic energy in the form, because there's a possibility, that this shouldn't be there. There's this kind of imbalance. Why? There was a show organized at the Whitney Museum called Anti-Illusion. Right? Does this ring a bell? This is the show. It was organized by Marcia Tucker. And it included Robert Morris, Bruce Nauman, got Eva Hess, myself. God, there were a lot of artists in it. Bill Bollinger. I mean, you'd have to look it up. Alan Surratt. I think Bob Morris was very theoretical and verbal, and I think that he talked about a kind of breakup of form that was really interesting and engaging. I'm not entirely sure if he was that influential, perhaps. At least in terms of my ability to express stuff. I mean, I think he was an important artist. He's very under-recognized, his influence in New York right now. I think there's a reassessment going on. I don't think he was involved with minimalism the way, say, Donald Judd was. I think Bob Morris was much more experimental and willing to find more radical solutions to work. And I think that was important in terms of my development and encouragement. And I know at one point he included work of mine in an article in Art Forum, and that was significant, meaningful to me. Well, I made a model. I think the model's reproduced in the catalog, and then I made another model. I made the first model. It's really a study. And then I had my assistant make a perfect model. So he translates the ideas exactly. That I showed to an engineer, and then the engineer did a bunch of calculations, because I wasn't sure that I could make that piece. And I was interested in the fact that it's hard, that it's not so easy to make. The engineer told me, or made a drawing. I began to make the parts in the studio. So they were just, maybe the model was one size and the actual wood patterns were 10 times larger or 18 times larger. So just what sculptors have always done. I think there was when I was a young artist, that would have been frowned upon. I mean, that you're supposed to directly make stuff with your hand. There was not supposed to be any removal between the process and the result.